Nathan said there were some issues at the construction site, so the wedding had to be postponed. You're busy. I replied casually. The next morning, the hospital was bustling with activity. A doctor said, "Olivia, your husband and that actress are trending on social media." In the video, Nathan was carrying Isabella into a 5-star hotel. It was last night, and he said he was going to the construction site. I opened Isabella's Weibo, and she had just posted an update thanking Nathan for the new home, saying that we would be neighbors from now on. The photo showed her holding Nathan's arm, with the diamond ring on her finger particularly noticeable. I immediately took a day off and went to the obstetrics and gynecology department. On the third day, a marketing account exposed that Nathan had bought an entire floor of a Riverview apartment for Isabella. In the photos, they were chatting happily in the model apartment, looking very close. I took the divorce agreement to the Thompson family, uncle and auntie. I don't think I'm good enough for Nathan, so let's call off the wedding. After all, they love their son the most, so anything else I say is pointless. Dr. Olivia, don't get too upset. It's normal for young people to have little conflicts. Wait until Nathan comes back, and he can apologize to you. Nathan's mother brushed me off while chatting with someone on her phone. Mom, I just tried on my wedding dress. I'll send you a photo later. Isabella's voice sounded very sweet. Nathan's mother smiled broadly. Her face lit up with joy. How lovely Isabella looks beautiful in everything she wears. How interesting. Isabella calls her mom more affectionately than I do, even though I'm the future daughter-in-law. Of course, after all, she's a rising star. Having her call me Mommy's truly a blessing for the Thompson family. Auntie, there's no need for Nathan to apologize. I've come to terms with it myself. Since they truly love each other, I'll support them. Nathan's mother didn't seem surprised at all. Instead, she looked a bit smug. Don't be angry. Men are mostly like that. Now that you're pregnant, it's understandable that he seeks fulfillment elsewhere. You need to understand his thoughts. You're already engaged, and Isabella's popularity is just temporary. I don't want to talk anymore. I turned to leave. Wait, Nathan's mother said with a cold smile. If you dare to break up with Nathan, I'll make your life miserable in this circle. Her gaze swept over my stomach. I smiled, threw the divorce agreement on the ground, and left. That night when I returned home, I suddenly saw Nathan at the door. He hugged me from behind, holding a jewelry box in his hand. He said, "This is a gift for you. Do you like it?" I opened the box and found a Tiffany necklace. If it weren't for Isabella posting her limited edition Cartier necklace on Weibo, I might have been touched. She even sent me a private message, saying that Dr. Olivia's necklace was also nice, and the affordable version looked pretty good too. I pushed Nathan's hand away and said, "You bought Isabella a limited edition piece worth millions, yet you still remembered to buy me a store-bought one. You really put a lot of thought into this." Nathan's expression immediately turned cold, but it was just for show. Is this really worth getting so worked up over? I laughed coldly and said, "I'm not holding it against you. You two can do whatever you want." Nathan suddenly stood up and said, "Olivia, are you really going to cause trouble before the wedding? If you don't want to marry me, just tell me." I finally understood. He thought I was pregnant, so he was making me endure all this. He believed I couldn't escape him. Before I could say anything, he slammed the door and left. The next morning, Nathan actually sent a message saying he'd take me to the hospital. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw him leaning against that limited edition Bentley. He walked over to the passenger side to open the door for me, his movements polite. But just as I was about to get in, he received a call. "Isabella, I'm so sorry. I can't accompany you to try on clothes today. This car is brand new. Didn't you say you liked the color? I'll have the driver bring it over for you to see later. Just stay there and relax. I'll handle this and come find you." I stood at the car door, staring at him coldly. Now I finally understood. He hadn't come to pick me up. He was intentionally making me jealous to make me give in. In his eyes, I was supposed to compete with Isabella and find a way to make him like me again. He seemed to think he was an emperor from ancient times, 3 concubines and 6 harems. No one else would do. How ridiculous. I actually liked someone like that. Now, I finally understood. After the surgery, I felt very weak, so I took 2 days off. Just as I finished submitting my leave request, the department head called. "Dr. Olivia, come to the hospital immediately. Nathan is coming to our hospital for an inspection today, and as the attending obstetrician and gynecologist, you must be present. I work at Nathan's hospital, but no one knows about our relationship. He believes that a romantic relationship within the hospital would have a negative impact, so he insists on keeping it private. I just let it be, but he and Isabella are quite open about it, showing their affection everywhere in the hospital. The nurses are all talking about how they're a perfect match. I know this is all Nathan's doing. Director, I'm sorry, but I've decided to resign. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. Who do you think you are? You come and go as you please today. The chairman is personally inspecting the work. If you dare to give me a hard time, that won't be good. I'll make sure you can't stay in the medical field. But I'm just an ordinary doctor. It's too easy for the director to target me. To resign smoothly, I tried my best to return to the hospital. As soon as I arrived at the department, I heard the nurses gossiping that Nathan was going to make his relationship public. No need to say it, it must be Isabella, because I see them together every day. I saw them acting very close at the VIP ward entrance last time. I also heard that Nathan specially arranged a full-body checkup for Isabella. It looks like they're definitely getting married. They need to check their health, right? No wonder they went abroad together a couple of days ago, saying they were inspecting medical equipment. They were actually on their honeymoon. These rumors are spreading like wildfire, but Nathan never bothers to explain. He just wants everyone to know. In the past, I would have argued with these people. Now I calmly open my computer and start writing my resignation letter. Just then, Nathan arrives. Isabella, wearing high heels, walks into the department with her arm around his. She flips through my medical records, furrows her brows, and says, "Dr. Olivia, your handwriting is so messy. The patients can't read it." After saying that, she throws the medical records on the ground. "Be more careful in the future." Nathan beside me remained expressionless. My handwriting has always been like this. Patients have never said they couldn't read it. Nathan's expression changed instantly. He asked what kind of attitude that was. "Someone is kindly reminding you, and you dare to be so rude." The director immediately began scolding me, saying, "Dr. Olivia, your work attitude is unacceptable. If this continues, you won't be able to continue working here." As he was leaving, Nathan mentioned that the hospital was closed the day after tomorrow, and everyone was going to attend Isabella's birthday party. My hand shook, and I almost dropped my phone. The day after tomorrow was supposed to be our wedding day. Now I have to go celebrate his new girlfriend's birthday. Never mind, it's not a big deal. That night, as soon as I lay down, the doorbell rang. Nathan stumbled in, holding Isabella, who was wearing a strapless dress. "Go sleep in the guest room. Isabella will be staying in this room tonight." His tone made me feel uncomfortable, as if I were just a servant. Isabella leaned against him, her eyes drifting toward me. "Dr. Olivia, if you'd like, you can stay and watch too. I hear doctors are all very dedicated." Nathan wrapped his arm around her waist and whispered with a smile, "Don't joke around. I don't want anyone else to see. You're so beautiful, only I should see you." I clenched my fist, then let it go. "Never mind. Why be so hard on myself?" Isabella tilted her head and said, "Dr. Olivia, your nightgown is so outdated. Is this standard issue at the nursing home? Look at your outfit. No wonder Nathan likes me." She was laughing at my loose post-surgery nightgown. To avoid hurting my wounds, I had to wear this. Nathan kissed her ear and said, "Come on, baby, don't mind her. You said you'd dance for me." The two of them were very intimate, completely oblivious to their surroundings. I grabbed a pillow and headed toward the guest room. Even through several doors, their voices could still be heard. In the middle of the night, Nathan woke me up. He said, "Olivia, why aren't you reacting at all? I just wanted you to feel a little jealous and go back to the way we were. You know, you're the only one I've ever loved." His voice was so charming. His hands moved unconsciously over my body. In the past, in such situations, I would always get caught up in my emotions. But now, the pain in my stomach made me realize that everything was fake. Nathan kissed me for a long time but noticed I wasn't responding. He cupped my face and kissed me slowly. I said coldly, "Nathan, your cologne smells awful." As soon as the words left my mouth, he got angry. "Are you looking for trouble?" He grabbed my wrist and forced me down. I struggled fiercely. the wound on my abdomen throbbing in pain. In desperation, I bit his shoulder. Nathan let go of me and slapped me across the face. My face burned, but the pain was nothing compared to the agonizing pain in my abdomen. I curled up into a ball, my body trembling. Nathan saw how pale I was from the pain and seemed to realize something. He paused for a moment, then turned and slammed the door shut. In the darkness, I felt the pain for a long time. Sweat soaked through my nightgown, but he didn't come back to check on me. By dawn, the pain gradually subsided. That night, my heart grew completely cold. The last remnants of guilt toward him vanished along with the pain in my stomach. After finalizing my resignation date, I sent Nathan my location. It was the same cafe where we first met. Where it began, there it would end. Whether you come or not, I'm just following the plan. Half an hour later, the sound of high heels grew louder. It was Isabella who walked in. She had dressed up specially for the occasion, wearing designer clothes, and her makeup was flawless. I hadn't changed out of my white coat and was sitting there with no makeup on. We're almost the same age. Isabella sat down with her legs crossed. Nathan is in a board meeting. He asked me to listen to your thoughts. I smiled slightly. Can you make decisions for him now? She flaunted the diamond ring on her finger. Of course. I'm different. I'm his fiancée, while you're just a temporary replacement. If it weren't for your family background, he wouldn't have even noticed you. I took a sip of coffee. Do you really think that being young and beautiful is enough to keep him? There are plenty of women younger and more beautiful than you in this circle. Isabella laughed. Of course I know. Someone like Nathan always has plenty of women around him. I never expected him to love me forever. What I want is a child. Once I have a child, I can rightfully become a wealthy wife. Whether he loves me or not doesn't matter. As long as he's rich, that's enough. I sneered. It seems the value of true love isn't as high as I imagined. A girl who loves money easily got him, perhaps because there was a hint of sarcasm in my eyes. Isabella's expression changed. Olivia, no matter what, Nathan loves me now, not you. I won this game. I clapped my hands and congratulated her, hoping she'd have twins soon. Isabella narrowed her eyes. What do you mean by that? I shrugged it off. It means exactly what I said. Isabella was about to say something else when she suddenly heard footsteps outside. Her expression changed, and she quickly messed up her clothes and grabbed the coffee to pour it over herself. As the door opened, she suddenly pushed me. I lost my balance and fell forward, just in time for Nathan to see. He immediately rushed forward to catch me. Both Isabella and I were stunned. After helping me up, he immediately went to help Isabella. Isabella's tears started flowing, and she said, "Dr. Olivia, I know you don't like me, but you can't treat me like this." I shook my head, finding it amusing. So this was the only way to get his attention. Nathan had fallen for it, looking displeased. He then apologized to Isabella. I sneered. Can't you tell she's acting? Nathan suppressed his anger and apologized, saying he wouldn't marry me otherwise. I said indifferently, "Then I won't force you." Nathan angrily said, "Olivia, don't be so arrogant. Don't think that just because you're carrying my child, you can act however you want. There are plenty of women who want a child." I laughed. That's his last secret weapon. When I laughed, he seemed to realize something was wrong. That's right, go ahead and look. Anyway, the thing in my belly is already gone. My words hit him like a hammer, leaving both of them speechless. A look of triumph flashed in Isabella's eyes. Losing this child made her the biggest winner. From now on, the Thompson family's fortune would be under her control. Looking at this woman who had gone to such lengths to climb into Nathan's bed, I felt a wave of disgust. No doubt about it, the Thompson family's influence in this city is enough to make many women swoon. Few can resist such a lure, since things have come to this. There's nothing left to discuss. I picked up my bag and prepared to leave. At that moment, Nathan charged at me like a rabid beast, grabbing my arm with bloodshot eyes. He asked me, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know what you're saying? Are you joking?" I pulled out the abortion termination certificate from my bag and threw it directly into his face. He seemed to lose all his strength, his body going limp. I took the opportunity to break free from his grip. The certificate fell to the ground, and Nathan didn't dare to look at it. He knew this was reality. Isabella saw her chance and immediately went over to comfort him. For her, this was a golden opportunity. With a little more effort, She could give the Thompson family a grandson in less than 2 months. Then she could move into the Thompson mansion with a clear conscience. Just as I was about to leave the cafe, Nathan suddenly pushed Isabella away and chased after me. He said, "Olivia, wait. The child doesn't matter. We can still get married. You're still young. We can consider having a child later." I turned around and saw Isabella fall heavily to the ground, her dress dirty. But Nathan didn't even glance at her. How ironic. When I was by his side, he didn't care about me at all. Now that I'm leaving, he's acting so concerned. "Nathan, stop pretending. Your heart belongs to your movie star." He gripped my wrist tightly and shook his head vigorously. "No, Isabella doesn't matter. She's just a passing phase. You're the one I want to spend the rest of my life with." Isabella, lying on the ground, turned pale upon hearing this. I laughed coldly. "Nathan, do you know what? A heart that's past its expiration date isn't worth mentioning." I pushed open the cafe door, and a cold breeze rushed in. I felt a bit sad, but it wasn't because of the relationship. Actually, I felt that these past years had been wasted. And I had some regrets. "Never mind, let's start over from the beginning. From now on, my relationship with Nathan is over." I decided to move to another city. Thanks to my father's connections, I got a job at his friend's hospital. That year, I was busy in the operating room and didn't even have time to think about dating. My parents began to worry that I would remain alone, so they arranged a blind date for me. They said the other person was excellent in every way. I didn't refuse. Although my previous relationships hadn't gone well, that didn't mean true love didn't exist in this world. I agreed to meet him. When I arrived at the agreed-upon restaurant, I saw a familiar face. Upon closer inspection, it was Alexander, the hospital director. He also noticed me and looked surprised. After chatting for a few minutes, I realized he was the person I was supposed to meet. I had only planned to chat briefly and leave, but Dr. Alexander asked me seriously, "What do you do for a living? Are you busy usually?" I was taken aback. "Aren't I working at your hospital?" That question was a bit odd. He seemed to realize it too, smiled awkwardly, and apologized, saying it was just a habit. It seemed like he had been on many blind dates before. The rest of the conversation was light and pleasant, giving me a glimpse of a side of him I hadn't seen before. After dinner, we said our goodbyes. To be honest, maybe because we were already familiar with each other, it didn't feel particularly special. It was like talking to a regular colleague. Dating, I had never even considered it. The next day, when I went to the hospital, I happened to run into him. I greeted him naturally, but he seemed a bit awkward and avoided looking at me. Just as I was about to enter the office, I heard a voice that made my heart race. No need to guess. It was that unreliable person. "Nathan, Olivia, I'm so sorry. I know I was wrong. I've ended my partnership with Isabella. Mom has been talking about you nonstop, hoping you'd come back and give us another chance." Nathan was kneeling in the emergency room lobby, blocking my path. Nurses gathered around, curious to see what was happening. "Wow, this is so touching. Dr. Olivia is so lucky. If someone pursued me like that, I'd definitely agree. That guy is probably Nathan from the construction company. Worth over $100 billion. Look at the watch on his wrist. It's probably a limited edition Patek Philippe." A gossipy nurse secretly took a photo to check the price. And they were all stunned. "It's over $3 million. Did I hear that right? It must be real. Look at the code on the strap. A guy like that, if he were to kneel down and beg for reconciliation, I'd have agreed long ago. Hesitation is for fools." Nathan listened to the surrounding conversations and felt a hint of pride. He understood women's vanity well. He wore an expensive watch and knelt down in public to beg for reconciliation. Even the coldest woman would be moved. I was just about to say no. Just then, Alexander, the hospital director who had been watching the commotion, suddenly stepped forward and reminded everyone that this was a hospital, not a TV set. As soon as the director spoke, the nurses scattered like birds. Alexander walked over to me and casually placed his hand on my shoulder. I tensed up immediately. He asked nonchalantly, "Who told you to disturb my girlfriend?" "Girlfriend? What's going on? We've only just met." Before I could speak, his arm tightened around me. In an instant, I understood. He was supporting me. Having a shield was convenient this way. I didn't have to say anything else. Nathan froze for a moment before sneering. Acting, Olivia, do you really think such a cheap trick could fool me? I know you well. I couldn't help but laugh. Nathan really thought too highly of himself. There are plenty of great men in this world. Do you think you're so important my current boyfriend is better than you in every way? When it comes to looks, can you even compare to him? When it comes to character, do you have what it takes? When it comes to ability, can you handle it? When it comes to performance in bed, can you do it? Nathan's face turned pale. What are you talking about? I'm not afraid. Don't believe me. I turned around, wrapped my arms around Alexander's neck, and kissed him. He was startled at first, then wrapped his arms around my waist and deepened the kiss. After a minute, we finally parted. I was panting, glaring at Nathan with a challenging look. You believe me now? Nathan stood up, his expression fluctuating as if he wanted to say something. I cut him off and asked, "What? Do you think that wasn't enough? Shall we go to the office now and reenact your performance with Isabella? That day, let me show you who my boyfriend is." Nathan finally left. I exhaled in relief. He should understand now. After all, a man's dignity must be preserved to some extent. After dealing with Nathan, I was about to leave when Dr. Alexander called me back, saying, "Dr. Olivia, the operating room. Go immediately." His tone left no room for refusal. I followed him into the operating room, and the smell of disinfectant made me feel a little more awake. I was really impulsive earlier, causing such a scene at the hospital entrance. The looks from the patients' families are something I'll never forget. "Director, I'm sorry. I lost control earlier and affected the hospital's image. Should I write a self-criticism? Or..." Director Alexander leaned against the operating table, staring at me silently. The operating room lights illuminated his face, but his expression was hard to make out. After a moment, he finally spoke. "Do you think my skills are better than his?" "How would you know such a thing?" I was taken aback. He actually cared about that. Was he jealous of me? No, he was clearly mocking me. He was retaliating for what I said earlier. I saw a hint of a smile on his lips, so I quickly explained I was just trying to provoke Nathan. "I didn't mean it. Don't take it too seriously. After all, you've helped me a lot. I'm very grateful." Dr. Alexander slowly walked over and asked, "Are you saying I'm not as good as him, in terms of looks?" Then he took off his mask. "In terms of ability." He pointed to the various honors in the operating room. "In terms of wealth." He smiled out the window, looking at his custom-made Rolls-Royce. Then his gaze lingered on me, and my face flushed instantly. What's going on? The air conditioning suddenly got so hot. I lowered my head, dare not look at him. I heard him whisper, "Why are you blushing? I'm asking you. Was that kiss earlier acting, or did you really feel it?" I suddenly looked up and saw his deep gaze. This man was like that emergency call, rescuing me from my predicament just in time. "Report to the director, intensive care unit." I seized the opportunity and fled the operating room as if escaping. His deep voice echoed behind me, "Dr. Olivia, we'll discuss this another time." My heart was racing. This man was indeed no ordinary person, even more concerning than Nathan. Seeing Director Alexander's ears turn red, I almost burst out laughing. He cleared his throat, adopting a formal tone, and said, "Dr. Olivia, the situation in the emergency room today was inappropriate and has negatively impacted the hospital's reputation. To make amends, I immediately responded, I accept, completely. This was my mistake, and I will take full responsibility for handling the hospital's reputation." He nodded satisfactorily, "Good. Starting today, you will be my personal assistant. Of course, she is my fiancée in name only." I replied blankly, "Okay. I understand. Wait, what did you just say?" His ears turned even redder, but he still pretended to be calm. I told him, "You need to appear as my fiancé to help maintain the hospital's image. This director clearly has his own agenda. I just escaped Nathan, and now I've run into another wolf." But his shy demeanor, is this his first time chasing someone? I suddenly had an idea. I deliberately adjusted my white coat and moved slightly closer to his office chair. My fingers gently brushed against his stethoscope as I asked, "Director Alexander, what exactly does this private assistant role entail?" Alexander froze. I had deliberately worn a silk blouse today, with the collar revealing a hint of my intentions. From his angle, he could clearly see my necklace swaying gently with each breath. His Adam's apple twitched slightly, and his fingers unconsciously slid across the desk. It turned out that even the usually composed Dr. Alexander could feel flustered. I felt even more triumphant and reached for his ID badge, but he suddenly stood up and hugged me tightly. I lost my balance and ended up sitting on his lap. Before I could react, I felt a warm sensation on my lips. When I was about to suffocate, he finally let go of me. I gasped for breath, feeling a bit dazed. His low voice whispered in my ear, "This is your first assignment." I hurried out of the office and leaned against the wall in the corridor. Oh no, this is bad. Now I'm completely under his control. From that day on, I became Dr. Alexander's public girlfriend. The nurses at the hospital secretly called me Dr. Alexander's wife. Once, during a ward round, he overheard our conversation. Instead of getting angry, he transferred the young nurse to the intensive care unit, which was the department she had always wanted to work in. After that, every time there was a medical seminar, he insisted that I accompany him. It was then that I truly understood what genuine emotions meant. Before every speech, Alexander would introduce her on stage, calling her my future wife and the most outstanding cardiac surgeon in our hospital. Such recognition meant more to me than countless sweet words. That late night, after the tension of the operating room, I collapsed onto the office sofa, exhausted. He gently stroked my scarred hands, as if cherishing a precious treasure. Suddenly, he whispered in my ear, "Have you thought of the answer?" I closed my eyes and lazily asked, "What answer?" His lips lingered by my ear, making me wonder who was more skilled in bed. I froze for a moment, then recalled the words I had intentionally provoked Nathan with in the emergency room that day. I never thought he had been thinking about it all this time. He said to me. His hand was on my waist, his grip firm, leaving me unable to resist. I smiled softly and dodged away, saying, all right, you're the best." 3 months later, we held our wedding in the hospital's rooftop garden. It wasn't until that day that I realized the student my father had been most proud of all those years ago was none other than Dr. Alexander. Oh my God, this was a trap. However, as he slipped the ring with the stethoscope design onto my finger, I knew this was the happiest trap I could ever be in. 8 months pregnant, I sat on a bench in the hospital garden, watching Dr. Alexander go to buy my favorite blueberry mousse, since he was promoted to deputy director. He had handed most of his work to the department heads and dedicated himself to being with me. The nurses whispered among themselves that Dr. Alexander was truly smitten with me. Today was a sunny day, and I gently stroked the bulge caused by the twins, enjoying this rare moment of peace. "Dr. Olivia," a voice came from beside me, sounding a bit disheveled. I looked up and saw a man who looked exhausted. His white coat was wrinkled, and his hair was messy, no longer the elegant cardiac surgeon I once knew. "Nathan." His gaze lingered on my pregnant belly, his expression hesitant. "You've been doing well lately." I instinctively protected my belly and asked coldly, "What's the matter?" He sighed helplessly, sat down at the other end of the bench and said, "Can I sit here for a moment?" I didn't respond. He looked at the fountain in the distance and sighed. Sophia left, taking all my research data with her. She went to the United States. That new project was actually something we discussed together. I interrupted him and asked, "What do you mean? Did you come here just to tell me that?" He shook his head, pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, and said, "My license has been revoked. There was a mistake during the surgery, and the patient had complications." My heart sank. In the medical field, such mistakes are extremely serious. During that surgery, my mind was filled with thoughts of Sophia and the data. His voice choked up as he said, "A young life was cut short." I listened in silence. The Nathan I once knew was always the most confident one in the operating room. Now he looked like a lost child. "You know what's the most ironic part?" He wiped his face. "That patient was the same age as you were when I first met you. If only things had been different back then." I interrupted him and said, "Let's leave the past in the past, Olivia." He said it seriously. "I came to say goodbye. I'm going to Africa as a volunteer doctor. I might never come back." I was stunned. "You don't need any license there. I want to do something meaningful in the last part of my life." In the distance, Dr. Alexander came over with dessert. Nathan stood up and watched him carefully. Seeing his lonely figure, I suddenly said, "Nathan." He turned his head. I continued, Africa needs a lot of medical supplies. I'll go tell Dr. Alexander to improve the hospital's conditions. He hasn't smiled in a long time. Thank you very much. Then I paused and wished him to find his way. At that moment, Dr. Alexander walked over, and Nathan had already disappeared down the hospital corridor. Earlier, when I took the blueberry mousse, I felt like a lost person. He leaned against my shoulder, thinking about something. I shook my head, thinking about life's choices. If he had gently kissed my forehead back then, things might have been different. Now, you should think about how he was close to my stomach, planning to give Dad a little princess. I couldn't help but laugh. You said you wanted a son, didn't you? He suddenly changed his mind and said seriously, I want 2 little princesses. If that's the case, there will be 3 of you. I leaned into his embrace, admiring the beautiful spring scenery.